once you have identified all of the alternatives available to you, you don't seriously consider all of them. You usually only consider a subset of what's available to you. This is what we call the consideration set. So the idea from marketing is I need to be in the awareness set, and then I need to be attractive enough to make the customer actually consider me. And when it comes to the consideration set, or the subset of the alternatives that I'm actively thinking about, I'm going to evaluate them based on attributes. We talked about attributes last time. That's just something that you can talk about. Specific qualities or characteristics. And what makes this fun is the evaluation is not based on reality. The evaluation is based on perception. And just I remember years ago, we had a car that was gray, and my wife incorrectly insisted that it was brown. But anybody with a brain could clearly see that it was gray. But she insisted on saying that it was brown. Yeah, I mean, other than reminding her that she was wrong every time. But the point is I saw that color, she saw that color, we both saw the exact same color, but our perceptions were different. She saw that color as brown, I saw that color as gray. So when we're evaluating alternatives, understand that no two people are going to evaluate the identical alternative in the same way, because we have the frame of reference that we use to evaluate them. And in addition to the fact that evaluation is perception-based, there's different ways that we evaluate strategies. Some different ways we evaluate them. Some people use a single strategy approach, or a single attribute approach, where if I'm looking for a car, the only thing I'm looking for is price. I'm looking for the least expensive car. Did I mention I'm Scottish? People in Scotland would not call me Scottish, but I can because I'm here. I got the name Robertson. That's as much Scottish as I have. So if all I'm looking for is price, then that makes it relatively easy to establish a car. If I want to talk about cost, that's get a little more complicated. Other people will use multiple attributes. And this gets really fun because people may not be aware of what their true feelings are, and they may not be aware of what their... So when it comes to a car, for example, we've all agreed that social consumption is a huge element of any car purchase. But when you talk to people who are buying luxury cars, rarely will they say, I bought the car because it makes me look like somebody who's successful and somebody who's going to get lucky and somebody who's got a lot of dough, right? What do they say?
It feels better.
Well, if they say it feels better, say it's got higher resale value, it's got great engineering, it's got safety. So I'm saying safety, resale value, engineering, but what I'm thinking is, oh yeah. So again, and I may or may not even be aware that that's going on. But it's in my brain. And that's one of the issues with market research is a lot of times when you ask customers what they think, they don't know what they think. Or even if I did know that, I might not admit it to you because it's socially unacceptable for me to say that I'm elitist and I want to be better than you. And the best way for me to prove that I'm better than you is buy a car that you can't afford, right? That's true, I think. So a couple of things. One is, this is just gospel according to Bruce. Have you ever noticed that politicians will never give you a straight answer to a question? The reason is, in gospel according to Bruce, is that many voters are single issue voters. They use one attribute to evaluate the candidate. So the idea is if I ask a candidate what your position is on this issue, and the candidate gives me an answer, so all of the people that are single-issue voters who are for that will vote for the candidate, and all the people who are single-issue voters who are not for that will not vote for the candidate. And then we come to the next question, and of the people who are still willing to vote for that candidate, if they're for this issue or not this issue, he'll lose some. So the idea is that if I give you a straight answer, I'm going to lose as many potential voters as I'm going to gain. So rather than doing that, the typical politician's answer would be something like, I agree, that's important. It's something we need to look at, and this is something that affects all of us. Sounds good? Semantically, no. And then we get into this whole micro-targeting. If I'm confident of who my audience is, then I might give a specific answer. But in today's cell phone world, you can count that there's somebody in the audience who's going to be recording that and have it on the web. So anyways, one of the things that we can do as marketers that helps people through this process is it's a concept called framing. And framing is where you set the frame for the conversation or set the criteria for the conversation. So if I have, for example, if I have a car and my car gets really good gas mileage but it's more expensive, then in my promotion around the car, I'm going to emphasize that it is great gas mileage, right? Really efficient car, great for the environment. And I'm not going to talk about price because price is not what I'm good at. So the idea is to get customers to focus on the attributes where I'm going to win. Similarly, if I've got a car that is not very good gas mileage but is really high styling, then I might emphasize the luxury, the smoothness of the ride, and not talk about gas mileage because that's not where I am. So I want to frame the conversation in terms of attributes that are important to me. Probably one of the best examples of framing is around the discussion around abortion. Because nobody, when you're discussing abortion, nobody ever discusses abortion, do they? If you are for abortion, what do you call it? Right to choose. It's about choice, right? And if you're against abortion, what do you call it? Right to life, because life is important. So nobody's talking about abortion, it's the right to choose versus the right to life. So again, that's framing, is trying to frame the argument or trying to set the conversation based on attributes where it's going to be more attractive towards your position. Another thing that makes this fun is this concept of heuristic decision making or rules of thumb. And heuristics are simply mental shortcuts that we use to make decisions, especially in low involvement situations. For example, a very common heuristic in marketing is bigger is better. If I have two products that are the same price, one gives you 12 ounces, the other gives you 6 ounces, which is the better value? Bigger, right? And I will buy the bigger one every time, and that's why sometimes you'll notice the packages are bigger than the product that's inside them, because bigger is better. Another common marketing heuristic is the price-value heuristic. The price-value heuristic says that if I have two products, say 2 bottles of wine, one's a $20 bottle of wine, one's a $10 bottle of wine, which is the better bottle of wine? The $20 bottle of wine. Why? Because it costs more. And if it costs more, it has to be better. So price-value heuristic, and this is, especially when we come to luxury good pricings, this gets kind of fun.